Hey guys, and welcome back to some more Factorio sending supporters to space. I am very excited because I got pretty much all the rails done on stream earlier today, and I'm going to go show those to you guys in just a second here. I do want to just mention though, if you want to see the process of that, the VOD for that stream is on my Twitch channel, which is always linked in the description if you want to check that out. And I will also try my very best to get that VOD uploaded to YouTube this weekend. So either way, you can check it out. If you want to see it before I upload it, then check out the Twitch. If you don't mind waiting, then I will try to get it uploaded this weekend. So you can see, the work that went into it. It took a while. My brain was melting along with like half of the Twitch chat. Anyway, here's what we have. So this one you've already seen, and I forgot to explain in the episode where I showed this off. I think it was 2 episodes ago at this point. It wasn't last episode, it was the one before last. I forgot to mention something, and someone asked about it, which reminded me that I should have said something. So you notice I have very close signaling here, right? The reasoning for this is these are spaced at a distance of 4 cargo wagons apart. You can see here, or 4 train tiles, I guess. You can see there that the signal even shows off 4 and then 4 between this one. And what this does is this allows me to safely and nicely run trains that are any multiple of 4, right? So if we ran a 242, I believe that would be 8 train sections, right? Yeah. 8 train sections, so that would fit in between this signal and this signal. Whereas if we wanted to just run a 121, it would fit between this signal and this signal. And if we want to run, like a 310.3, for example, which is what we're going to do, it would fit between the in signal here, which would be here when I tile this, when I put another blueprint, and the in signal over here. So that's why these are so close together. Now, I did mention before also that more signals creates more train blocks, which has the potential to maybe create a little bit of a hit on the game performance. I think it's very minimal, but if it does start becoming an issue, or if I'm just worried about it to begin with, what we can do is eliminate a lot of these inner signals for kind of, I guess, the outskirt tracks, or probably the entire ore system, since the ore system is all going to be 310.3s and it's going to be separate from the other train network, as I explained in a previous episode. We could probably just do away with these. I have these here just for the blueprint. I can easily just make a new blueprint with these inner signals, these 3 sets of inner signals in here removed for the ore tracks, and I think it would be totally fine, and that would certainly reduce the blocks. So I just wanted to explain that. Here is our junction. So not the prettiest thing ever. I wanted it to look a little better, but in order to get the signaling, I could have moved it a bit. People had suggested on the stream to move it like down so that the curves happen before we even hit this straight section. I don't really like that idea personally. So this is what we have. It's not like super glorious looking. I don't think it's that bad looking, really. It's symmetrical, that's pretty important to me. And the signaling does check out mostly. There's a few tiny little tweaks I could do to increase throughput, and I will if I need to, but for the most part, in terms of just does this work, this is signaled correctly. I had it approved by multiple people on stream, and yeah, so kind of to go over the signaling, I'm not going to go over every single one. Still standard practices as we used in the 2-lane, just a lot more of them, right? So, kind of entry normal signals here, and then chain signals before every crossing, right? So, chain here, we have crossing, chain here because we have crossing here, and then here, normal signals before a merge onto a track. So that's why we have a normal signal here and a normal signal here, because, this is merging, so, we need one on each. And then this one, again, same thing. Chain signals, going this way before a cross, before a cross, before a cross, and then before a merge, and then this guy again before a merge. These are entry signals, again, probably not 100% needed, but I do like having them there. And then chain signal before a cross. I would like a chain signal in the middle here, but I can't fit one, unfortunately. So then we just have a normal signal here because it's after a cross, like after the ending of crosses and then before a merge. To clarify, what I meant with the crosses is kind of a good practice that helps me remember is chain signals before every crossing, and then at the very end, after all the crosses, so after your last chain signal, you want a normal signal, essentially. So that's kind of what this does, but just on a smaller scale. And then, just same thing, different directions, but same principles apply. Chains before crosses, normal signals before tracks merging, so on and so forth. And then I brought it down here, and this pretty much tiles perfectly. So I've also put my stuff in a blueprint book, not all of it, I'm still getting around to it, but I have put my things into a blueprint book, Xterm Rail Blueprints 4-lane. And again, I will share these once they're complete. There's still a couple more sections I probably want to add. I may share them as they are on Patreon, and then once they're done, I'll release them to the public. Something like that maybe, or I'll just wait entirely till they're done. But anyway, so this section here is essentially the length of one of these short sections. You can see that from this straight, like from the very edge of it right there, this is the length of one section. And then I would just tile this down, and I do have longer sections in here. And I believe did I take that out like a dirt? No. So then we have this, which is the longer section. So this one is essentially like, part of that. And this long section is also the same length as this, which is also the same length as this, and that is the length that a 310-3 fits in. Now, ideally, when I want to, actually, when I build these junctions, like in an actual system, what I would ideally want to do is place this down starting here, like that, and then I would want to remove all signals in between until the very last one at the end, wherever this would be, because that will make sure that a 310-3 can clear this entire intersection before it would have to stop at a signal. If I left these inner signals and further down too, if a 310-3 came in here and there was something in front of it, it would stop at this signal, but it would still be hanging out past here. Or if it came from this direction, it'd be hanging out like into here and blocking the entire intersection. So I would want to remove signals when I actually do this, and then I may make a new blueprint. But for now, this is what we have. And then down here we have a 90-degree turn, which just has signals on the entry and exit. And again, it is tileable. I'm gonna go back here. Same type of deal-ish. Actually, not quite tileable. Oh, it's only tileable in one direction. That is interesting indeed. I feel like I'll just have to be careful. That's not entirely how I intended that. I'll have to mess with that. I didn't actually realize that was the case. That's not mine. That's Mojo's. I labeled these, so I actually looked at the names. Is the longer one like that? Yeah, he is. So I'm gonna have to mess with that a little bit. It's a little bit derpy. Yeah, so there's that, and I did 90 degrees because I think it's a lot easier and a lot better than the 45-degree diagonals because, well, one, it's a lot easier to make. Two, I think it looks better. And three, where the hell? Oh, I can't actually rearrange it. Shoot. Okay, and then three, it's just one blueprint for any direction, right? Remember with the diagonals, I had to do like an up and down because you could only really go certain directions with them. This thing, you just rotate to get the direction you want. So for example, this guy would be, and he does tile, he would be down. I rotate it again and it would be down for the other side. I rotate it again and it would be up for this side, right? And then I rotate it one more time and it would be up for this way, right? So with one blueprint, I can just do any direction without having to have all these multiple blueprints. And then lastly, what we have in here is this thing. And this is what we have up here. No, that's not it. It's a 2-lane. This would essentially attach onto the end of the 4-way T-junction. And this is for Outpost because you don't need really 4 lanes going to an Outpost. So when I T-junction off, not for a main line, but for an Outpost, I want it to just be 2 lines. So what I've done is made it the same length as the longer one I showed you earlier. So I would set it down like this, right? And then it would combine down to 2 lanes down there at the bottom. And the reason it's this long is, again, so a 310-3 can pull fully through the intersection before having to stop. There are a few signals in here I would have to remove, but anyway, that's the deal, because then it would merge down to 2 lanes, and we can bring the 2 lanes to the outpost. So I wanted to show you guys those. If you want to see the process of actually making them and a little bit of bug killing, check out the VOD of the stream. But yeah, so there's that. We still have our 2-lane ones, of course. You know, we would still need them for some of the 2 lanes to the outposts. And I will have to mess with, what was it, the curve and the shorter guy, that the signals are slightly off for tiling. But yeah, there's that. And then also I've bumped up the module module amounts to 100. We're nearly there. We are actually at 100. This is just building a backstock, and there it goes. So I've kind of slowly tiered them up. I think that's better than just setting, like, you know, I want 500 of them, because then it's just 100, like, constantly eating resources, and sometimes I may want to do science and I wouldn't be able to. So I'm kind of just slowly tiering them up. We are actually somewhat-ish close. So there's a couple things I want to do today. I know the rail thing took a little bit, but I did want to explain that to you since you didn't get to see the actual process on episode of making it. And so a couple other things. First off, I've imported somewhere Mojo's Make Everything Factory. So this is vertical control link. I actually don't know how to work this. This would be a bit of a extended display. Like everything, starter items, blank cell, half blank, fluid blank, chemical blank, half blank smelter, half blank beacon smelter, make everything consumables type 2. Okay, so here's the plan. Someone commented, or maybe at this point multiple people commented in one of the previous recent episodes, that there's no way the starter base can make enough modules that I would need to actually go, like, build a mega smelter and then build, you know, the kind of own little module bases for modular bases for each thing. And that is correct. This base cannot. It's been struggling even producing 100 modules. But and the person, that the main one I read, said that I should convert this to, like, beaconed and moduled stuff. And while I somewhat like that idea, I may stick some productivity modules in, like, the red circuits and the blue circuits, maybe. But instead of going through all the trouble to do this, because, I mean, really, like, this can't actually be beaconed. A beacon won't fit anywhere in here, so I would have to redesign this entire thing. I could beacon the copper wire, which would do nothing for me, and I would have to build a new thing anyway. So the plan is build one beaconed and, like, half moduled mega smelter, because it's still probably going to do more than we're doing. Even now, we only make about, well, we make more than we're doing. We definitely make more. I think, I don't know what is the max production of this. I'm actually not sure. It looks like I think I saw at one point maybe like 6K or something. However, a mega smelter can do a bit more than that. It's bot based, and what I'm gonna do is, my plan is, I'm just going to do Mojo's Make Everything, not like a full build like we had in 15 Sim, but I'm going to take his Make Everything, like the controller and stuff, and then I'm going to do bot based like module things, like stuff like this, and start making circuits and stuff for that, and then start mass producing modules off those. Because I think, personally for me, and I mean, your guys' view is very important, you're the viewers, I try to consider it, truly, as much as I can, but at some point, I have to take my own my own wants into consideration, since I am the one playing this, and personally, it would just be a huge pain for me to try to make this factory a module beacon factory to any degree. I could stick modules in and then have to build it bigger because it'd slow everything down. I can't beacon any of these builds without remaking them. And if I remake them, I'd rather just remake them bot-based. And then if I make them bot-based, I might as well just use Mojo's make everything and use that to make more circuits, and then turn the circuits into modules, and then, you know, go into Megabase stage. And I know I'm not doing anything, but I need to actually think fairly clearly to explain this. And as you've seen, I'm not capable of doing that while I'm building stuff. So we're going to come down here, and I'm going to try, because there's a few more things I want to talk about, but I want to get something done. So I want to set up some, like, locomotive and cargo wagon production, because we don't actually have that, and then also logistic chests as well. So I apologize, guys, for like spending like 3/4 of the episode doing nothing. I hope you don't mind me just talking, because, you know, there were things I need to get out. So wow, these are quite hungry. This should be interesting. So that's that. And also, based on the experience I've had with playing like all the bases with Will and Mojo, the module grind is tough, and it is real. And part of the problem I think we ran into, and Mojo kept bringing this up in our playthroughs, and me and Will never listened, and I think it's time that I do listen, is he kept saying, let's see, we need gears. This is going to be a bit difficult, I think. Mojo kept saying, you know, guys, instead of just waiting, you know, tens upon tens of hours for your starter base to make enough models to make a mega base, take some modules and start, you know, a mega base. It won't be, or start like part of a mega base, like a mega smelter. It won't be fully, you know, beaconed, but you can use that, or beacon module, and won't, and you can use that to then build, you know, other like circuit setups to then make more modules, rather than just waiting forever for this base to do it. And yes, I could beacon module this base, but I mean, like, I would have to rebuild it. I can't beacon anything in here. And if I just module it, it's just going to slow it down, and I'm just going to have to build it bigger, and then I might as well just make a new one, right? So I'm going to kind of take Mojo's advice, or just general, the general idea, and do that, and just kind of, you know, the mega smelter, it won't be fully beaconed, or, well, will be fully beaconed. We have enough beacons. It won't be fully moduled, but the thing is, it won't be I'm trying to think how to say this where it's not like super derogatory or just like dumb. This is why I don't like belts past the mid game. And I feel I need to be specific in that. It's not that I dislike belts, period. I've had a ton of fun with this. Like, the belt logistics of this base so far have been really, really fun to me. Don't get me wrong. I really am enjoying that. But past, like, mid-game, this is why I don't like belts. Because, to me, it's just a bottleneck. And I know part of the game is figuring out bottlenecks, but it's a bottleneck that is either a massive headache to get around, or you just can't get around it, essentially. And so iron and steel's way over here. Probably should have built this, like, yeah. Let's take a pause from my rant and actually make this work. Let's take a lot of iron. I don't think I can share these. It doesn't even take iron, you idiot. Then we can do this. Because the issue, right, is that, like, belts are just, they're limiting. To be just blatantly honest, they are just limiting. And, you know, that's fine, because some people find that a challenge, and it is a challenge, and it's a good challenge to a point, at least to me. You know, the challenge of them has been a lot of fun to me so far, but it's getting to the point where it's like, I just cannot do what I want to do with belts without, essentially what I would need is I would need blue belts. And this is where the problem comes in. I would need blue belts. And blue belts are complete waste of my resources, 100% right now. And someone made this comment for red belts too in an earlier episode, and they had a very good point. And that's why I've kind of stopped upgrading things to red belt. It is a complete waste of resources unless you plan to stay on belts your entire game. And the reason for that is they aren't used in anything. Yellow belts are used in green science, at least, right? I mean, I can, all the yellow belts in this factory, I can recycle and put into green science. Every red belt in this factory and any blue belt that I would do if I went that route would be a complete waste of resources. They are used in nothing else in the game. I mean, obviously the undergrounds and splitters for their level, which again would be useless in a non-belt factory. And the thing is, like, they're not cheap. Like, that's the thing. Especially now, the components and stuff required for like red and blue belt are expensive as hell. Like, I don't know if you guys have taken a look lately at the cost of the undergrounds for red belt and blue belt. It is absolutely insane. This 257 iron for one set of underground blue belt, and I would need it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If I went blue belt, which I would need to do to get the throughput in the oomph out of this base, I would need to go blue belt, and I can't. I have to underground. I mean, I need split offs. I need to be able to go through my bus, and 257 iron per pair. Yeah, that's a lot. That's like more than a rocket part. It's really insane. And I'm not saying it's unbalanced. I mean, they reach 8 links. So that's, I don't think it's unbalanced. But for someone like me who is not planning to go belt based, let's see, is this in the network? No. Then I'll just limit it this way. I will want a lot of these. This is they only stack to 5, I think. So I do want like a whole row. And this guy needs circuits, engines, which we'll have to request in, and steel. It's gonna maybe underground. So the point I'm getting here throughout my huge rant is that, I going to blue belt or even red belt any further than I already have is resources I could have spent making some bot-based stuff, i.e. a mega smelter and Mojo's Make Everything, or parts of it, and making modules. And then those materials will actually be able to go towards something. Like, that's the thing, is I feel like it's just smarter for me in this situation to not go any more belt-based. And I know you guys are going to be upset because people want to see belt-based. Now, don't worry, I'm not tearing this down. This base is still going to be here for a good while because I'm still going to let it do its thing while I build the other stuff. But, it's like, oh, this ought to be interesting. If I make robot-based, mega smelter stuff and make everything things, it's like, when I need to move those or recycle them, every single part in that can actually be reused for the mega base, because that's the style that I'm going to be building in the mega base. I'm going to be using bots and electric furnaces and beacons and modules and all that stuff, and that stuff can actually be recycled. And this is painful. What the hell am I going to do with, how am I supposed to do this? This plan is not turning out quite how I would have liked. Time to move some of this stuff. So that's my rant. That's my reasoning. It may not make any sense. I think it makes sense. But, I'm certainly not always right. That is for sure. But I would love to hear your thoughts, because you guys have really, really good opinions, and I don't know if opinions is the right word. You guys have good thoughts and good points of view sometimes that I don't consider, and it helps. Like, when the person mentioned initially, red belts are a complete waste of resources, I hadn't thought of that. And then when I thought of it, I was like, damn, you're right. This is a complete waste of resources. And it's like, you can't always optimize. You can't always not waste resources. I've already probably wasted a ton of resources doing stuff, but to the degree that I need to do it at, it just wouldn't, I don't think it'd be worth it, in my opinion. I really don't. Like, if we just, I'm going to end this episode here. I have pretty much what I need. Let me export this. Let's just do some very quick end of episode, like, napkin, just out of my head math, all right? Let's just see. Okay, so again, right, again, I would need to make everything blue belt, essentially, if I were to stay on this base and module it and beacon it and get the throughput that I need, right? Pretty much. Or hell, even if we didn't do, let's just say we didn't do blue belt, for anyone out there who may, you know, think that I could do this on red belt, which maybe I could, I don't know. But let's just say I go all red belt. Some of our stuff is red belt, our iron thing is red belt, and that's it. We have like a red part of a thing here. So let's just do an experiment. Okay, let's just take a blueprint. Let's see. So if we take everything here, let's just cancel out science. Let's just say we turned off science even. Just that's not back there. Let's take this. Everything in here that is a yellow belt and a yellow splitter and a yellow underground needs to be converted to a red belt. All right. Well, let's see. Let's just say 490 yellow undergrounds, right? Let's just say 190 yellow splitters, and how much yellow belt? Oh, see, now that's quite a lot, huh? Let's just round down. Let's just round way down. Let's just say 4,000 yellow belt, right? Okay, let's do some calculations here really quick to end out this episode. And I'm not doing this to, like, you know, to prove that I'm right. I'm doing this as an experiment and to show why I think, to show why I'm thinking the way I'm thinking. So let's just start with the red belt, okay? A red belt takes a yellow belt, so let's, you know, we can recycle that, right? So this guy takes 3 iron total. We can subtract 3 iron from this total raw cost, right? Because that's the yellow belt. Okay, so let's subtract 3 from that. 8.5. 8.5 iron for each red belt. Okay, well, let's do 8.5 times 4,000. Well, there's 34,000 iron right there. Let's look at the splitters. So these guys take 16 of that. So we can, because these take one of those. So we can subtract 16. So that's 30 iron times 190. It's another almost 6,000 iron, and 7.5, it's 5, like 15, and another almost 3,000 copper. Okay, and then, yeah, and then this is where it gets a bit ridiculous. All right, it takes the underground yellow, so we can subtract 17.5 from 97.5, so that's actually 80. So 80 iron times 490. Oh, that's just another 40,000 iron. Okay, so that's what it would take to upgrade this stuff to red belt. Now, sure, we have a few stocked up, and that's if we just do red belt. Okay, and that's not counting, you know, anything else we would need. So that all those resources could be put into making, you know, part of a mega smelter and then part of Mojo's Make Everything. Anyway, guys, that's the end of my rant. That's the end of the episode. Just to clarify again, I am not trying to say that anybody is wrong. I am not trying to say that my opinion is 100% right. I am just saying what I think, what is my opinion, and trying to just explain why my opinion is the way it is, essentially, for this. You know, and the person who commented, if you're watching, if you're still here and you are watching this episode about making the base this way, you have a point. As I said before, you have a point. Like, you have a very strong point in terms of not being able to have this base do, as it is, the full amount of modules and stuff we need. So I'm kind of just meeting you halfway, essentially. I'm not going to try to build a mega base from this base, I'm just going to build like 1 mega smelter, which is going to be like half iron, half copper temporarily, and just make a couple mojo, make everything modules to make the circuits and make the modules and let that thing run. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like. If I upset you, then, you know, whatever. And if you have any thoughts, I'd love to see them down in the comments. I really, still really appreciate your thoughts and do value everything you guys have to say. So until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.